Hello and welcome to Reuzel Live. Today is November 25th, 2024. My name is Nicholas Giberson. Today we have an amazing Scumbassador all the way from Las Cruces, New Mexico, David Brockhoeft. David, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Nicholas. Thank you for the intro. Yeah, I'm here. I'm David Brockhoeft. I'm the Scumbassador from Las Cruces, New Mexico. I'm coming to you live from my salon here, or salon I work at, called the Fix Salon here in Las Cruces. Today, I'm going to demonstrate. I asked a lot of questions on my social media of what haircuts you wanted to see, and everybody seemed to be trending with a long haired cut. So preferably the way my hair is cut. So today I'm going to teach you how to do a kind of long pompadour mullet that I have with a razor. We're going to demonstrate razor cutting. The reason I chose a razor is I've done many pompadours and about every classic look you can ever seen through social media. I've never posted razor work, even though I do a lot of razor work. So I thought it'd be fun to switch it up a little bit and do something a little different for you guys. Uh, Getting started today, this is Facebook Live, and these we started in COVID during lockdown. I think Rob did the first one, and then I think Paul did the second one from England, and then I was third. So this is always kind of a cool thing for me. The first one I did from the confines of my house during lockdown, and it's really branched out over time into a really cool thing for education and teaching through. These were originally started by and developed by Curtis Lawrence, a friend of mine that passed away. I always like to recognize him. And we're going to get started on this. Before we get started, I want to talk about a few things. Like right now, since it's holidays coming up, we do have a Black Friday special on the Reuzel website. You can get any of the two products for 20% off, three for 30%, or four for 30%, three for 25%. So if you go to the Reuzel website, you can get a Black Friday deal on any of the products that you like. All right, getting into this haircut. Now, it's not really a difficult haircut, and I don't know if a lot of you have ever cut with a razor before, but razor cutting is just a lot of it's the technique of feel. It's cutting with a lot of feeling and more of a glide to the razor. There's many different razors people like to use, and most popular is a feather razor. But when I was taught, I learned on this particular razor right here. It's got a notched, wider tooth side, and it's got a finer tooth side. It's a little heavier and weighted. This is the razor that I prefer to cut with. It's just the one that I learned with 39 years ago. So a little history about myself. This February will make 39 years that I've been a lifer in this industry, in this business. So I started off as a specialized cutter and cosmetologist, so working through different companies, specializing in just haircuts. So we did tons of razor cutting. Probably in the early 90s, everything was razor out. So it feels good to go back to doing some of the stuff that I've done in the past. Everything evolves and circulates around. So um, bringing this back, it's just a fun thing. And getting out of your comfort zone a little bit for you guys. I know if you're a cosmetologist, you're pretty profound with the razor work, or some of them are scared. Barbers probably have never done it. They're mostly with clippers. So this will be a fun educational event for all. So getting started with our haircuts, I'm going to go through a little bit of the breakdown of the products I'm going to use with this. Over here on my card, what I've already pre-done is I come in with our grooming cream. All right. The grooming cream, when I cut with the razor, the reason I like to put a heavier base product in is it just helps the razor glide, and especially since it's the mannequin head, it's already a hard texture to work with. So it's just going to give me more glide with the razor. So I put quite a bit of grooming cream into it. I'm going to follow it up with a blow dry with a surf tonic and this is going to get a little bit of grit and offense in my hair or the mannequin's head. I'm going to actually add some groovy tonic as I cut. And then I'm going to finish it off with the Reuzel gray, or in this case, pink for the breast cancer awareness. And then I'm going to throw a kink in it, and I'm going to use beard balm at the end. And I'm going to tell you why when we get to that point. So starting off here, I've made a few little diagrams to help along the way. We're going to have a different approach to this. So if you look at the diagram, I'm going to start right up here on the top of the part line on the apex, and I'm going to make a pie section on the top. And I'm going to create my base for this haircut in the front, because I'm going to work more in a forward movement as I go back to the head to keep the length in the back. So I'm going to bring this diagonally over from either side, and we're going to cut right at the base of the nose and follow to the lobe of the ear. Is everybody with me? So getting up here, I'm starting with this apex, and I'm going to make my tie down to my recession. And I'm going to comb that all the way over. And see, when you have the grooming cream into the hair, it really allows you to hold your sections really clean. Now, I'm going to make this pie back over here to the recession, and I'm going to comb that out of the way. So, as you can see, I have a diagonal section. So the thing about this is, anytime you have a part and you want to find the cutting angle that you're going to pull the hair at, you make a T to that part. So, sorry, I got a bum finger today, so I'm going to drop a few things. See how I'm teeing off of that part line, okay? The part is always going to determine the angle that I'm holding the hair. So I'm going to start at this lower part of the nose here. I'm going to take my razor, and I'm going to use the heavier side. I'm just going to notch that across. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to comb this over. And I'm going to clean up anything that didn't get included. See how I'm just following and pulling and moving and letting the razor just slide. And that's going to determine a guide for us in this cut. All right, so now I'm going to raise the head up. I'm going to spin it a little bit for you. I'm going to clean up my part here. And we're going to start with usually like our baseline section. Okay. Now I'm going to make this point from the back to the ear. I'm going to pull down a piece of my guide from the front. Over direct it back, because like I said before, where I have a part, I'm going to tee off to it. And I'm just going to follow that guide. And when you're working with a razor, you're never going to have a perfect line, but that's why you're working with a razor. And then we've determined that side.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
When you're cutting, can you turn to the right a little bit? Your shoulder was blocking the camera.
Okay, all right. We'll demonstrate it again on the next side. Now
Thank
we're
you.
gonna bring it over. We're gonna pull down. We're going to diagonal to the lobe. I'm gonna try to get out of the way this time. We're gonna use the bottom of the lobe of the ears, our length guide. We're gonna tie in from our front. And I'm gonna try coming in and I'm just gonna work my way across. Is that better, Nicholas?
Yeah, it's better.
And now we have that guide set. So we have pretty much like our front and side perimeters done. Now we comb everything back. And I'm gonna start working with diagonal things from our diagonal sections from our triangular part line up top. And I'm gonna bring them forward. So I'll bring that to my guide. Pretty simple. A lot of fun. I'm going to bring that forward to my guide, and what I'm doing is I'm maintaining length as it goes back. That's why I'm bringing everything forward. Anybody know who Jesse Wells is? Jesse Wells is a new modern day folk singer. He does a lot. He's really popular on Instagram with he writes little songs about everything going on in the world, and he plays them with guitar and sings, and they're kind of humorous. But this is pretty much the same haircut that he's rocking, except his is a wavier version. So I'm gonna keep my diagonal sections as they come through, and just keep working it to the front. Now, see how I'm teeing that angle off the part every single time? I'm using that to determine my angle that I'm holding the hair. You can see how it's developing. We're going to work our diagonals all the way to the center of the back of the head. And we're going to keep working that. The comb and the part line determines where I'm holding the hair and the placement. So if you ever want to check into the angle, I'm going to move this forward so you can see the angle from the side view. See, like when I comb this out, you can see how I'm holding it just like that, straight out off the angle. We're working that in. Now we've reached the center of the back. So now we're going to transition over to the other side, and we're just going to repeat the process as Lawrence would say. So we're going to take our diagonal section. See how easy it is to work with the hair when you have product in it? When you work with longer hair cutting, I always find it's easier and best to work with the product in the hair. So it just helps you form the style better. It's the way I was taught, and I've always done it that way. So angle, Find our guide from the front. We'll work that in. Take our next diagonal across. Bring it forward. Now, if you notice, like when I'm working with this razor, what I'm doing is finding our angle. I'm just following behind my fingers, and I'm not really stroking like this, as I'm rocking my arm like I was holding it like this. And my wrist really isn't doing the work as much as my elbow and my shoulder are. So I'm going to come in, and I'm just holding it with a locked wrist, and I'm moving my arm up and down. So I'm not really carving away at my wrist. So I'm still keeping a proper squared form with my body. Let me move over. My chest there, my elbows out, and I'm pushing the razor through. I'm just doing it in shorter strokes. Is there any questions? No? Lively bunch.
Nothing so far. A lot of viewers, but no questions. We're just enjoying the process.
You can see how that shape is forming. It's it's a very simple technique because we're just working with a lot of over direction, and we're just bringing everything forward. So as it flows back, you get that flow into that longer, fuller length. So we're going to find our part, find our cutting angle right off of it again. I'm going to turn it forward for you again so you can see this side. There we go. And I'm going to bring this out. See my angle? I'm going to follow from behind. And I'm just bringing all that forward. See, the razor just really gives it a soft, shaggier edge to it. And it's fun because it's a complete, like, different variable than what you've been seeing or working with a lot of you. Same thing, we're going to work to the center of the back of the head. I have my diagonal angle, found my comb angle again, and we're just working through repetition and consistency and patterns. There's a thing about haircutting, and haircutting is always based on patterns. When you learn your patterns, then you develop consistency, and consistency is what makes you money and makes you successful. Nobody's ever going to be the best at anything. So, but you can become consistent in the things that you do. So the more you follow your patterns, the less you have to think. You know, if you go through step 1, 2, 3, 4, that the result's going to be 5. So you don't have to overthink it. You follow through on your pattern and you get your result. The more you do consistent patterns, the more consistency develops in your hair cutting, the more consistency develops in your bank account. You go to restaurants not because they're the best, because they're consistently pleasing you with the food they serve. So people will come to you, not always because you're the best, but they know what to expect and they know that you are consistently giving them the service that they asked for. So consistency equals success in my books. We're going to come over here, see our angle again. Bring that down. I'm going to spin you so we can get a view of the back. See, and then we're just going to follow this down the center. Use the big tooth on my comb always for my parting, because that's what it's for. Draw our line for the part. Okay, now we're just going to take anything that doesn't belong in the front out. And that's kind of developed the basis of our weighted shape. We'll bring all this forward. Clean up anything that doesn't fit in. And that's pretty much the basis of our perimeter line and our weight in our haircut. Okay, now I'm gonna make you laugh a little bit, because instead of lowering this in, I brought a stool for the top. So now when we're gonna get into the top, I'm going to work off this thinner apex. Like when I cut hair, I like to think of 3 apexes to the head. The flat spots is what I call it. The center ear, the center ear mark, and they all line up like the ring of fire around the world, like the string of volcanoes. Then you have the center top, which is the flat spot of the head, and the center ear. So they all kind of make a line together and connect. And those are what I call the 3 flat spots of the head. So that's where your haircuts are going to be squarest in spots or flattest on the head. So starting with the apex of the head, I'm going to pull this up, basing my part off my three spots. And I'm going to take about a 1/2 inch section on the top. I'm going to twist it. And remove it.
Hey, David, we got a question.
Sure.
What would you call this haircut if a customer would ask for this? What would you name this haircut?
The David Brockhoeft.
Great answer. Not really. What are the elements of this haircut? What would it be if you were gonna ask for it?
I haven't had my hair cut since Rob cut it last at the Behind the Chair show in Dallas. So he'd given me more of a longer flat top mullet with some fenders. So of course it's grown out since then, because I'm continually growing it for some unknown reason. I just felt like it. It seems like longer hair is trending now, and I didn't really mean to be part of a trend. I just got lazy. I moved out west and to the desert, and kind of became a desert hippie a little bit. So it would just be more of a pompadour mullet per se, because I still kind of pump up my front a little bit through here. But notice that I don't keep my hair where I can't touch it or move it. So it's still soft, and I can run my hands through it, because I pretty much live on a motorcycle. I ride a motorcycle to work. I ride motorcycles in the desert. I'm always putting helmets on, and my hair never messes up if I style it right and use the right product. So this is the look and style that I found suits me, but it's basically like a pompadour mullet is pretty much what fenders, if you had to name it. But you can also wear it down. If I chose not to blow my hair back, it would just be wavy and down, and it would look more like the artist I was referring to earlier, the Jesse Wells is what I like to call it, which is just a wavy kind of mop top mullet. Because if you look, as I pull my side down, it goes to my earlobe. So it's quite long. That's why when I can push it back, it'll hold. So as it gets longer, the length helps support it and hold it back. So if you ever have clients, we all have them, that they complain about their sides poke out too much, or one side goes back easier, or one side pokes out. That's because your whirl dictates your movement. So if the whirl in the back of your head is whirling this way, this side likes to grow forward, this side likes to grow back. So if you take this forward moving side and push it back, it's naturally going to poke out. That's why one side always pokes out, one side likes to go back. So the only way you can cure that is by putting length on that forward moving side so you can direct it back. And that's why I wear my sides longer, because I have a heavy forward moving side that I have to control. So the length helps me control it. Does that answer it in a long about way?
Yeah, that's it.
So I'm going to start by still bringing this hair up from the back to my apex. I'm going to chop into it, twist it up. And I'm going to bring the next sections up. I'm going to twist it up. Bring the next sections up, and I'm going to repeat this process till nothing comes up to my apex, which is pretty much where I'm at now. And then I can grab my razor, pull my thumb, and pull the hair and take off any of that little tail at the end. And that will blend my length to the back to my apex up top. Now I'm going to push this tender triangle that we established in the first out of the way. And I'm going to take my side and I'm going to pull it and direct it up to the apex. I'm going to do the thing where I take my thumb and I'm holding the hair on the top of the razor, and then I'm just turning the razor up like that. And that's going to blend that in. I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to comb it all up. Over direct it up to my apex. Take my thumb, hold the hair on top of my razor, and just twist the razor up towards me. And that's going to blend that in. Pretty simple, actually. But you can see how the shape is developing. Of course, my hair has big, loopy, more ringlets that form out of it, and the mannequin head is straighter. So now we're just going to move to our tender triangle up front. And I'm going to work off the apex. And I'm going to keep taking horizontal sections across the top and just tying that, directing that back to my apex in the top. Then again, I'm just taking my thumb, pressing the hair over the top of my blade and turning it up towards me. And now I'm going to bring all this up until nothing is left to blend to the apex. And notice as I work my way around the head, I'm just double checking. You can see how everything is blended. So this is my shortest point, just like it would be in a flat top. And I've directed everything back to it. So when we take the head down and we shake it out, you can see the shape. So if we didn't blow dry it, you can see how this would just be kind of a mop top mullet. Then what we can do is come in and start personalizing this a little bit. Take your front sections and just kind of go into it, turn our razor more vertically. And I'm going to go in and just kind of slide some weight out of it. And the reason I'm doing this now is because the hair is wet. And with the razor, I don't like razor dry hair. So we're just going to keep going in here and do some vertical slicing while
Hey,
the hair
David.
is wet. Yes.
Hey, just want to let you know we have viewers from all over the world today: the US, Canada, Guatemala, Denmark, Mexico, and Poland. So people tuning in from all over the world.
Awesome. As we're moving around, I'm going to follow that guide from the front with my vertical slicing. See how I'm doing that? And that's just taking some of that bulk payload out in the middle. And it kind of breaks up that weightedness in the back. So all right. And that's pretty much the rough end of our cut. We can always kind of come through and tune it out after we dry it a little bit with some blending shears and some shears if we want. I'm going to start the drying and styling process next. And what I'm going to start with is I'm going to add the Reuzel Surf Tonic. This is a sea salt, like surf tonic. It gives a little bit more texture than the grooming tonic. That's why I like it. Could be a little bit more hold. I didn't really use it as much until I started doing a lot more long hair again. And I find that with the long hair, the support it gives me versus the grooming tonic, I prefer. So I notice I'm just spraying around the front with it. So I really don't need it in the back. So I'm just going to put it in the top and the front. And we'll start my process of drying. I'm going to use a vent brush, the standard vent brush. My dryer, I'm going to start at the sides first. I'm just going to be blowing that back to the center of the back of the head. I'm just following my brush as I go through. It's like a game of chess. Get that volume set in the side. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to repeat the process. Switching hands with the dryer and the brush so I get the same angle and movement. And it's just playing shapes again. You can also refer to this haircut as, we call it the Roadhouse a lot, just joking, because it reminds us of the original Roadhouse movie with Patrick Swayze in the 80s when they had the more blown back mullets. So you could, a great way to describe this is you want the roadhouse. If I had to name it, that's what I would call it. Okay, now you can see that we've got our sides nice and full and blown back. I'm gonna start with the front. I'm gonna de-sculpt my brush. I bring it down, shave it back up, start working on getting my pump. Now the trick here is not to rip the mannequin head off the stand when you do it. So you have to be a little bit more gentle than with the person. But I'm not trying to really over pump it. I just want that root area really lifted. You can see how we get that side developing nicely. We're gonna come over here, switch hands again. And this side I'm kind of blowing this across and back because this is going to be the flow side that the hair falls through. You don't have to worry about lifting it as much because the weight's going to collapse this side. So I just try to play change and blow it back across. See, I was developing them and just lifting it up, getting that root area lifted. And see, as we start playing with it, we can see we get the split for the pump. Back and forth. I'm just kind of wrapping this flat to the back, not really lifting it up. And all the volume is going to come from the front. I'm going to set in my part. I'm trusting my cut at this point. I know my cut's don't balance, so I know my cord is going to be weighted and it's going to stay just like, fall just like it is. So you can look down, you can see that. I'm just trying to get it dry at the root. The funny thing about like my hair, it's not only drying the front and the sides, and then I let the rest of it dry naturally, but we're not going to do that today. But that's how I style mine. I like it to be just natural in the back. Actually, the bottom hangs up my helmet on the way to work and blow dries on the motorcycle run. It just forms that fuzzy, curly look. You can tell that the Surf tonic definitely has a little bit stronger hold than the grooming tonic does. But now once we get that manipulated in, I'm just going to come through here and I'm just going to try to flip this out just a little bit and turn my brush. I'm not really overworking it at all because I want it to have a natural flicking movement to it. Your fan. I'm going to kind of shake it. Powered by you can tell that Surf tonic has really gave us a lot of volume to it. So, takes all that weight and it really supports it nicely. To see how the hair is naturally splitting with the weight, that's what we wanted it to do right here. You notice I have a split. That's the same thing. It's over on this side. The camera's always backwards, so it's hard for me to determine the right angle to move in. Okay, now that we've got this dried, I'm going to come in with a little bit of the gray, Reuzel gray. Now I'm going to spin the 10. If you notice something about it, you can just see where I've already have a line from spinning the 10 into it. See? When you work from the outside in, you constantly create a clean surface to it. It doesn't harden up, it doesn't dry up, you're not digging the center out of it. So always spin the 10, get a knuckles work on my finger. I put it in the palm of my hand. I'm going to emulsify it really good into my hands. And if you ever get a glob when you're applying product, it's usually because of this part of your hand right here. It forms a pocket. So that's where the blob comes from. So I always take my finger and rub out the pockets. Now I'm going to come and just work this back. I'm not really going throughout everything as I am just working it more back into the head. What's up, Nicholas? How we doing?
Doing good. Before you started applying product, I asked our viewers what they wanted to see you use, and you're using those exact products. We got a lot of extreme holds. We had some grooming creams. So you're exceeding expectations and meeting them as well.
All right. Now that we've got our extreme hold in, this is where I soften up my hair. So I like to take the beard balm. If I can get it open, the hands are greasy. Do the same thing. I come from the outside around. Make my ring. And a lot of people wonder why I'm using beard balm on the hair, because I just like it sort of softens the hold and gives a little bit of sheen to it without taking away the volume. Not like adding a standardized gloss or anything. So then I just kind of take the coarseness off my hair or the mannequin here. I start working the beard balm through it because it's just hair. Hair really has an agenda or a place. It's hair. Some hair is coarser, some's finer, some softer, some drier, but it's all hair. So I apply the beard balm in, and then I'm going to take my brush, and I'm going to rebrush this and drag it all the way through. I'm trying not to rip the head off this thing. That's been my main goal so far. So far, I've done pretty good not pulling the head off. Okay, now that we've got that brush through, I'm just going to trim off my base a little bit. Like that. Take my pick and kind of shape it and let the air back into it. And pull a little piece down for a while. Turn it apart. Where it splits, where the weight splits it. And this is how we get a roadhouse mullet. Made famous in the 80s, revived in 2024. Have you guys noticed the big trend of a lot of the 80s mullet hair coming back? I mean, here in Las Cruces, I do a lot of kind of mop top mullets, seems to be lately. Curly front, long, dangling mop top mullet. How about you guys? What are you guys doing? Anyone? On the East Coast, we were doing tons of mullets when I left in 23. We were talking about different types. We have like the El Camino, the Kentucky Waterfall, the Roadhouse, the Corey Ham. We all gave them names of the styles that they were perceived after, you know, the Billy Ray, the spinning around a little bit. And this is pretty much what's on my head with just a little straighter texture to it. And that answers everybody's question how to do my haircut that they asked me. And everybody always asks me what I use to style my hair. And these are the same exact routine is what I use to style my hair. And I'll go back through it again. I first went in with grooming tonic, then grooming cream. Then I did the cut. Or whenever I'm blow drying, that's what I put in first. Then I apply surf tonic around the face and on the front and the top. Reuzel Gray for my pomade, and I finish it with beard balm because it doesn't give it too much sheen or collapse it at all, and it just kind of gives it a nice control. I usually like the beard balm because as the day goes on, my curls separate from it, and I like the ringlet effect that it gives my curls in my hair. Any questions about the cut? If I wanted to finish this off a little even more, I can always go back in with my Surf Tonic. And I use this as a finishing spray a lot, and I can lightly go through it and conquer any kind of flyaways like a hairspray would. And really mold and slick that back. The reason I like to use the Surf Tonic is I use water soluble products in this style. So I know that they break down with moisture and water. So the Surf Tonic wets down the product a little bit, allows me a little flexibility, but as it hardens back up, I don't lose the hole. So that's why I like finishing with Surf Tonic.
It looks great, David. Looks good.
I know we've got a few minutes left, and I'd like to thank all you guys for tuning in today. These Reuzel Lives are just a special thing for me. It's been a while that we've been doing them, and I just feel like I love the connection I get from the outside world with it. And I like that you guys tune in from everywhere and all over. I would like to take a brief moment and do mention that I am an author. I did write this book called Life Beyond the Chair, and there's been a big misconception of this book. A lot of people think it's about me, and it's really not about me at all. It's about finding your purpose and your balance in your career, your life, and finding joy and happiness along the way, and finding what works for you. Of course, I put some things in that apply to myself in it, but it's really for you to make you think about your own career and your own life and the path that you want it to be on. And everybody's path's going to be different. Everybody has different realities and dreams. So you need to think about your life and your dreams and how you spend your time and how to achieve those things. And if you need some help thinking about it, read the book. It's not going to direct you to it. You're going to do the work. It just tells you a little bit of things that you might want to think about along the way. Appreciate you guys tuning in. You can get the book on Amazon. If you go to my Instagram or Facebook, you'll see it all over the place with the a link. You can just click on there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank Reuzel for having me. You guys have a great Thanksgiving and great holiday season, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next year.
Thanks, David. Thanks, David. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and hanging out with us today on the 25th of November. I know it's the holiday week. We're kicking off the holidays this week, going into Thanksgiving and then Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all the other holidays that we got going on for the rest of the year. So we do want to say thank you for hanging out with us on this Monday. We do have some upcoming events.
Hey, one more thing, Nicholas. Hey, you guys, I forgot to mention, we have a slew of classes at the Reuzel University in Denver at our headquarters. Look on the website, find something that is your desire to learn. I guarantee you're going to find it there. You won't miss out on anything. I mean, everything you're going to learn there is super applicable to commercial and behind your chair work. So check it out. Go to the Reuzel University, look at the list of classes available, and find one that suits you and attend, please. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Yeah, so like I was saying, speaking to what David was just talking about, the Reuzel University, the Academy out in Denver, we actually have our upcoming class on the 8th and 9th of December. And then leading into next year, you can see at the link that I have streaming on the screen, all the classes we have coming out next year. We actually have a new class called the Lowdown, which is for students currently in school up to a year and a half out of school, just working on fundamentals and stuff that you may have missed in school. So it's a really fun, exciting class. We're very happy and excited to bring it to you. And then our upcoming Facebook Live events, the last two events of the year, are going to be December 16th with Scumbassador Nate Snyder out of Oneonta, New York. And then closing out the year, it seems to be a tradition at this point, closing out the year on December 22nd with Paul Taylor Clinch out of the UK. It's always a fun time. So we're looking forward to seeing you there. That's all we got for today. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will catch you at the next one. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.